All right, we're back. Writing linear equations, word problems. Most of these linear equations with word problems are going to use slope-intercept form because the word problem hopefully is going to give us some sort of starting value and some sort of growth rate. The few things we need to be careful of is that it is giving us those two items, and additionally that the slope or the growth rate is something that is linear, okay, which means it's adding the same amount every time and not some sort of percentage-based problem. So let's take a look at some of these word problems and what they'll look like. Example 1, write the linear equation that models each of the situations below. So we have a bunch of different situations here. We're going to try to write a word problem for each of them based on the information given. A flower that grows 3 inches per week, all right, so that's a key idea here, was 5 inches tall when it was planted. So when it was planted would be your starting value. And this right here, 3 inches per week. So the inches per week is the key part because that is the rate. All right, anytime we're comparing two units like that, that's a rate. So that tells us what our growth is, our slope. So this equation here would say y equals 3x plus 5. A flower that grows 2 inches per week is 10 inches tall. It was planted 3 weeks ago. So this one involves a little bit of work. We see the 2 inches per week, so we know that that's the growth. All right, we know right now it's 10 inches tall. Right now it's 10 inches tall, but it was planted 3 weeks ago. So we have to then calculate how tall it was 3 weeks ago for the starting value. Okay, well, the way we do that is we say, okay, 3 weeks, it's growing 2 inches per week. So that means it's grown 6 inches, 3 times 2 is 6, since it was planted. Well, if it's 10 tall now, that means it would have been 4 tall when it was planted. And we write our equation, y equals 2x plus 4. A seed was planted 2 weeks ago. It will grow 1.5 inches per week. It just broke through the ground today. So if it was planted 2 weeks ago and it grows 1.5 inches per week, we can determine how far below the ground it was planted, right? Because 2 weeks ago would have been 1.5 and 1.5, which is 3 inches below the ground. So 3 inches below ground level. So if we're writing this equation, it's going to be y equals 1.5x because the 1.5 inches per week. Okay, but here we're going to have to go minus 3 because it was planted and it was a seed and it was below the ground. A flower that grows 4 inches every 3 weeks was 1 inch tall when it was planted. That's a little flower. Okay, but here our growth or our slope looks a little bit different. Now it's saying 4 inches every 3 weeks, which is going to give us a fraction. 4 inches every 3 weeks is our growth. It was 1 inch tall when it was planted, so plus 1 is our starting value. Let's take a look at another example. Write the linear equation represents the situation below. Tim started a stamp collection with 150 stamps given him by... Wait, we did that a couple weeks ago, so we're not going to do that one again. Okay?